Okay, so what do I have? Queso, cheese. 15 minutes. 15 minutes. What do I play? I was gonna play Children of the Grave, but I haven't played it in a long time. I'll screw it up. Pretty sure. Um. So, quick story. Randy told me, because I knew he hated Sabbath. He really didn't want to take the Aussie gig, but his mom said this could lead to bigger and better things. I'm sure everybody's heard this, especially the Randy church. The truthers. I'm going to call you a religion until you just realize this how funny it is. It's goofy funny, but scary goofy funny. You shouldn't take things so damn serious unless you're going to change like laws of like bus drivers, like tour bus drivers. I've only been on 2 or 3 tours where we used a tour bus to go around, like when we did, like, we called it the Southwest tour, but it was like started, and we didn't start here, but we left from here, went to Phoenix, played what's below Phoenix? Tempe, Arizona? I think so. And then down out to Albuquerque, New Mexico, and then another place in New Mexico, and then El Paso, and then Houston, and then back up. And for some reason, we played a place in Oklahoma. I couldn't tell you the name of it. A club. And then we found a place, and then we went to Colorado and played in Colorado City and Denver and somewhere else. Then we made a jump, and we were going to play in Salt Lake. We played one place. It was a strip club. It was a strip club and a club for bands. The club where the bands played was upstairs, where you had to lug your equipment up 2 flights or 2 things of stairs, which was just horrible. I mean, not for me. I didn't. I had my roadie, and I was. See, what was that? That was Fatal Attraction. So he just, I said, bring one cabinet, 1 810, which is like, just bring 1 refrigerator. So we went and played that, and then at the end of the night, went downstairs to the strip club, and this was built under the freeway, under the 15, or like the 15 and the 70, I think, or the 80 or something like that, where all these freeways come together and out just outside of Salt Lake. It was built under that whole mess of freeways. Because, like, you want to build a place of ill repute like that, do it under the freeway where no one can see it. And, you know, at the time, I'm like, geez, you know, ease up. You know, I grew up in that church, and I always thought they were a little tight. Now I understand, but that's a whole other video. Anyway, so we played it, and then that night, you know, I went down there and like, this is amazing. And it was cool. So we ended up spending just that night there, but I took 2 girls with me to the next stop, which was Vegas. Did we play? Yes, Vegas. And then I had to, this is where I learned, bad thing, unless they have enough money, which those chicks were making money, but they weren't making Hollywood stripper money. They were making Salt Lake stripper money, which is different. So I had to help pay for them just to take a bus back up to their home from Vegas. So that was stupid of me. But hey, and then I picked up more girls, but left them in Vegas. And then we went from Vegas back to Phoenix. And then from Phoenix, played. And then the next night we were playing in at the Troubadour, which was like a Sunday night. And we were dead because we weren't getting any real days off except for the traveling. And that was like, bus drivers, they just keep driving because they're just low. They're either doing blow or whatever to stay awake, and they'll get you from here to there. And most people just overlooked it because they woke up and they were in their new city, and that's all they wanted. So what I was saying is, if you're gonna be serious about Randy, like stupid serious stuff that has nothing to do with his music, which is what he would have wanted, or, you know, his equipment, you know, him musically, and maybe a little bit of him as a person. He was a very nice guy, family, very nice. He would have made a great dad, blah, blah, blah. But don't go so into it. So the Truthers just smells like a cult. I'm just telling you, as a fellow person that, you know, I knew Randy. See, this is why it bothers me when people, like, there's people that, you know, go to those sites that harass the family because they think the family is holding back stuff that they should have. One, you have no right to anybody's life. Their private lives, even their lives when they were playing on stage. The family has about, you know, like as far as videos, you know, of concerts and cassette, they got the same crap you do. Believe me, the same soundboard stuff that I posted, they've got a couple more, but it's because I gave it to them or other people gave it to them. They give it to them. And they're like, you know, get it released. And they go to the Osbournes and they're like, too much trouble. Too much trouble. Forget it. Just keep it. But don't release it. Same thing that was told me. Don't release it. You can post, and you know, this was like just when YouTube was getting going, when I was talking. Well, no, it was 2004 when I was talking with him when my ex-wife used to work for Ozzy. So, and I talked to Sharon, and she found out I had all the videos and the, you know, the soundboard recordings, and I made her copies of everything and gave them to her like an idiot. But I didn't want my wife to lose her job because she was making amazing amounts of money, and I was making a lot of money, and it was together very good. So I did not want to screw that up. So there you go. I just get upset when people go too far. Think, the guy was human. He was born. He had a mom. He had it, well, there was a dad there at some point. The dad did come back when he found out his son was making, you know, like becoming a huge rock star. Dad made an appearance, and he's like, yeah, he was nice to him, but he's like, he's just sniffing for money. Maybe I'll give him some when I'm making it. Randy wasn't making that kind of money yet. It was just starting. that tour would have been the beginning of stuff rolling in for him. Not rolling in to where like somebody said him and his girlfriend, can't remember her name right now, Julie, Kathy, there's so many girls name, I can't remember, the girl, curly haired girl, that they were shopping for a house in Malibu. Even in the early 80s, believe me, they weren't shopping for a house in Malibu. Maybe, I don't know. I don't know. He was only, I know how much he was getting. I'm not going to get into it. Just remember, there are people's lives that are being upset because you guys, some of you, there's a guy that, like, Instagrams Kathy a lot and is really upset her to the point where she didn't sleep for like a whole week because she was so upset by what this one guy was saying. And all I know is I see his stupid name on that, associated with the site. I can't remember the whole thing because it's like two churches that have merged. All I can remember is Truthers because it sounds so stupid. Not that you're stupid, it just sounds stupid. Oh, I shouldn't. Why am I doing this? I'm sorry. Peace between all us that like Randy. But for us that knew him as a person, as a friend, I'd known that guy since I was 11. And, I didn't think he just was a cool guy. I didn't know he was going to become this big. Even when I started taking lessons, I'm like, well, the band he's in sucks. But he's an amazing guitar player. He needs to get into another band. That's what I thought as a 12-year-old, 12, 13. So, I knew him, and then I was able to, talk to him and associate with him right up until he took off. The last time I talked to him was December 81. I think. Yeah. Whenever they played here last. It was December, wasn't it? I don't know. It's all a blur. But I was 16 then. So, I was either 16 or 17 when I saw him last. 17. I just turned 17. So, when I think of him as my friend. That guy. The really cool dude. That happened to give me lessons. That was on his way to become like a really big rock star. And then, boop! Gone. And it sucks. But the only thing that his mom, because I would go and talk to his mom all the time, and she goes, there's just a few things that if you could help me, I'd be very grateful for. I'd go, anything. And this is Rhoads. Anything. She goes, never let Randy's name be forgotten or his music. And 2, try not to make money off of him, because to me it's like blood money. That's why she didn't know what to do. When people would say, do you want to sign this and this, to endorse this? Jackson was coming at her. Marshall, Gibson, all these people were coming after the record company, sign this, sign that so you can get paid, and get all his money. She's like, it's blood money. I sent my son away to record an album, a couple albums with this guy and go on tour and help his career, and he comes back in a coffin. That's pretty much what she said, I remember. She told my mom that. Her and my mom used to talk for hours and hours and hours after the accident because she really had she didn't know what to say, and she wanted to talk to another mother, and she'd known my mom for a few years because I'd taken lessons and we were neighbors and da-da-da. That's why I get so upset. And you getting upset at them is just ridiculous. So stop. And if you want any advice or any information, you can feel free to ask me. I don't know everything, but I can get things done, and I can find out things that are that important. And I have a lot of stuff that I haven't even, and I've decided not to do anything with now. I mean, except for what I've already done. That's what's done is done. That's out there and gone. Apparently a copy or two have been sold on some site. We'll see.